Hello, friends. Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you, and I'm glad that you found me. I hope that more of you there from the Heartfelt Creation Facebook page have been able to find me at Carrie Lee Creations. Do share that information with your friends if they're having trouble finding me, but they would still like to have Heartfelt Creation inspiration even after things close down at the end of the year. So, okay. Today, I have a really fun project for us. It is Robins at My Window um, table tent card. So I have not made one of these for a long time, but I was kind of messing around in my craft room, and this is what I came up with. So let me go ahead and switch the camera, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so here is the card, which, like I said, I've titled Robins at Your Window. And I have used the ornate window here and made it so that it opens. And a table tent card folds flat, so it's easily mailable, but it's got this little hinge at the bottom that opens up like this. And just like table tents at restaurants, it's going to stand up very easily and prettily. Now, I made mine fairly flat so it can mail, but of course you can fill this with dimensional flowers. You can have like dimensional flowers that come out and over. Um, in this one I used a window, but certainly all kinds of apertures you can make in the center, like with our frame dies, all different shapes. It doesn't have to be a window. So anyway, this is just kind of a fun design to make a card, especially with the beautiful stamps and dies from Heartfelt. Just it's a great way to showcase them. Okay, so to begin, uh-oh, I just dropped the card. It fell off the other side of my desk. Okay, so to begin with, you're going to cut two pieces of white cardstock. One of them is going to be 5 inches by 8.5. So it's 8.5 long, and then you're going to score. Let me move this one so I can show you. You're going to score that on one end at the 1/2 inch mark. Then go ahead and turn it around, and you're going to score it at the 1 inch mark. Okay? So again, the measurements are 5 by 8.5. All right. Now the second piece is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be 5 by 9. So 5 by 9 inches, and just on one end, you're going to score it at 2 inches, and you're going to score it at 1 inch. All right, and I went ahead and put some pencil marks there just so it's easier for you to see on the camera, but of course you wouldn't need to do that. All right. So on our paper pads, out of the tulip paper, I got a piece, the Tulip Time paper collection, which that is no longer available, but of course you can make this in any colors that you would like. But you will need to choose a piece of paper and cut it to 5 by 7. And we are going to put that right here on this piece right here. Now, sometimes we do occasionally have to do a little bit of trimming, and that's okay. But we're going to go at, whoops, my glue is kind of clogged. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and glue, this will be the front of our card. And we're going to put that glue around the edges, not in the center. And you're just going to adhere that right there to the front. Okay, now this one we're not gonna, the next piece of paper you're gonna need is from the Countryside Cottage, and this is from sheet 2B, and I just cut this design so that it would give a nice background to my aperture. So once we're doing that, and it is gonna go on this piece, but we're not ready to do that quite yet. So the first thing we're going to do, and let me real quickly show you the product that we're using. That might help. I want to put my glue, the pin back in because it's been clogging up. So this is the Floral Song with the two little birds. We're going to use both of those today. And then the Ornate Window, we're going to go ahead and we will be using this one. And the Ornate Window die, that's the one we need right now. We're also going to use this one from the Basket Blooms and the coordinating die. And then for my sentiment, I needed a recovery card for someone that is in the hospital, so I put as you recover. But of course, this is a card design that you could use any kind of sentiment that you wanted. And then I am using the intricate swirl frame. So I'm using this biggest piece from the intricate swirl frame. And in order to get this shape right here, I had to cut the center out with an A7 nesting die. And this die measures 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I just put that piece right in the middle there and die cut that. Now, if you do not have nesting dies for A7 size cards, you can just cut this out with your paper trimmer. So you just want to cut your frame, and there's a real nice dotted line in there, so you can just kind of follow that, and that's what I use to make my frame. All right. So once we have this piece, we can go ahead and set that aside too. We're done with that for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our window frame die. We're going to need that straight away. And this piece right here, the arch, that's the piece we're going to need right now. So to do this, whoops, we're going to place this kind of in the center. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but you just kind of eyeball that. If you want to measure it, you sure can, but kind of equal distance from the top and the bottom, about right in there. And we're going to go ahead and run this through our die cut machine. Okay. I know I said I'm going to try not to have to use my die cut, but my die machine, but I didn't get it done. I'm afraid I just can't bring myself to use the Heartfelt Creation flower shaping paper to make multiples and multiples so that I don't have to die cut. So I'm afraid we're going to have to hear it a little bit after all. So, but that's no big deal. It goes pretty fast. Okay. Peel that off, and this will give us our aperture in the front of our card. I like to make sure I put my paper on first. That way I'm sure that that's going to match up real nice and it's all down there. So now that we have this piece to this point, we can go ahead and set that aside. Now, if you have been to my website, it has I like to list all the supplies, everything that you need to have stamped out and in what colors. It's all photographed and listed there on CarrieLeeCreations.com. So before you watch my video, you can go there and kind of have everything prepared so that you can craft along with me. So that's kind of an added benefit that I can do for you by going through Carrie Lee Creations instead of when I'm on Heartfelt. Okay. So to color up our images here, I am going to use, whoops, that's the wrong color. Sorry, I put it away on the wrong side. Ah, there it is. Okay, I'm going to use some coffee color, and I'm going to use leaf green. I'm going to use a little vivid chartreuse. We're going to use a little bit of sunflower and a little bit of tea rose. We're going to use some vibrant fuchsia and some pink peony. And let's see, there's one more color here. We're going to use a little bit of paradise teal. All right, so big color palette for all of these images. I'm going to go ahead and get my triangle daubers, and we're going to start with our birds right here. And I am just looking for my glasses because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I hope everybody had a lovely week this week. It has been busy around here. Now, after I put my dauber in the ink, I like to tap off on my paper just to get that biggest part. And I'm going to start with the tail, because I want the darkest part of my ink kind of to be down at the tail. And then I'm going to work up his back with a little bit, so it gets lighter as it goes up his head. Okay, now I'm going to do both of my robins in the same color palette. So again, I'm going to start down here at his tail, get his little wing over there, and then just work my way up so it gets a little lighter as it goes towards his head. Okay. All right, I think that makes us done with the coffee color, so we can go ahead and put that away. The next color I'm going to come in with is the tea rose. Let me find my dauber for that right here. Okay, now for the tea rose, again, I'm going to tap off a little bit, but I'm going to start down here at his belly and kind of, again, work my way up his body, getting that tea rose kind of coming out from the brown. Again, I'm going to do the same thing on this fella. And it's okay if it gets into the brown a little bit. I'm just going to have that go right up his face. All right. And for the most part, we're finished tea rose. We are going to use it a little bit more in the flowers over here, but for now, we're done with that. And the next color that we're going to come in with is our sunflower. So for the sunflower, I'm just going to blend that in to the coffee and into the tea rose. So kind of coming up his body here, I'm just going to blend that in. Okay, just like that. And that's how I did my robin. And I did them both the same. And do not, of course, do not worry about getting out and stuff like that, because when you die cut this, that is going to all be gone, okay? All right. So that makes us done with our robins. Now, one thing I do want to do on my flowers over here, I am going to use some of the sunflower. And I'm going to mostly keep it out here on the tips, because all of these kind of daisy looking ones, I'm going to add some of that sunflower color. Sometimes it helps if you turn your paper, you can get the angle in there where you need it. One over here. I believe there's another couple up in there. All right. Okay, I think that gets most of those. Okay. All right, the next color I'm going to come in with is the pink peony. And for the pink peony, all of these flowers, we're going to give them a nice dose of pink peony. Okay. And that is also for over here on the ones that kind of look like lilies. I'm going to give them some pink peony as well. Let's see, there's a couple buds, so I'm going to get those as well. Let's see, I think I got them all. Okay. Now we may have to come back with this, but hopefully we got them okay. All right, now we're going to come in with the vibrant fuchsia. Get my vibrant fuchsia. I stack all my reds together, and you can kind of see in my tub right here, I've got a stack of blues, I've got a stack of greens, my stack of pinks, and you know, and that's kind of how I put them together. So that kind of makes it easier for me to find what I'm looking for if I keep those together. So, okay, so now the same thing, I'm going to use just the tip of my dauber and get it in there, and we're going to add just a little bit of that fuchsia color into the centers and kind of drag it out on some of them, you know, just give that some definition and color down in there. And you might want to tap off again, just pulling that ink out, giving that some definition. Okay. And the same with all of these, I'm just going to put a little bit of that darker color mixed in. Hopefully I am keeping it in the frame for you. All right, I think that makes us done with the fuchsia for now. And now we're going to come in with a little bit of the vivid chartreuse. These really do color up pretty quickly. Boy, I had my chartreuse one just earlier. What did I do with it? This one, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Again, I'm putting it right on the tips, and I'm just going to drag some out from the center of these leaves. See how fast and easy that is? I love it that I mean, I love to color. Don't get me wrong. I have markers of all kinds, and I love to color. I love to watercolor. You know, it's just a joy to color up the images. But I also love it that I can do something so simple and just get such a nice, pretty, you know, product at the end. That just, I love that. All right, I think I got all the ones that are shaped like that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to come in with is the leaf green. I don't have quite as much of that one, but I'm going to use my leaf green. It's down in here a little bit. And I'm going to do this other shaped leaf. That other shaped leaf, I'm going to make it just a tad darker. And I think that gets most of it. There's really... Seemed like there was one more that I saw. Nope, okay, I think I got it all. Oh, and while I have this out, on some of these, I added just a little hint of the, because these are going to be in the background of my overall design, so giving that just a little bit of variation in some of those leaves just helps give it dimension. So, okay. I think that almost does it. Now, before I'm completely finished, this is just a makeup brush, and I'm going to come back with a little bit of the tea rose. And let's see, let's make sure yeah. And this tea rose, I'm going to put that in the center of each of these daisies. Okay. Just like that. These makeup brushes, I think, you can do it with the points, but if you're like me, sometimes it touches down a little bit and you get like that triangle shape. And so I love being able to angle in there and get like leaves and things like that are a little bit bigger. But when it's a small round image like that, I don't want to run the risk of putting a big old triangle in the middle of what I just colored. So that's why I come in with the makeup brushes. And I get these at the dollar store. You can get a whole container of like 50 of them for very cheap. Okay. Let's see. Now you can also come in with the makeup brush and add some darker shading in here if you want to, just like in the center of each of these, but you know, that's totally optional. I am going to add a little bit on that. And the very last thing, I totally forgot to tell you this other color. I did come in with a little bit of the cactus flower, and I'm just going to very lightly add a little bit of purple hue to all of these kind of berry looking, feathery looking things coming out. Not a lot, just a little bit to kind of get some color on those. Okay, just like that, just a hint. Okay. All right, now to finish up my branches, the beaks and the legs, I'm going to come in with my colored pencils. Now for the windows, we're not going to be doing too much for the windows, so you know, we don't have a lot more to color there, but I'm going to use a darker brown to kind of just color in that branch in there. You won't see a lot of this, but you'll see some, and it ought to have some color on it. And then I'm actually going to use the black to do the feet or the claws or talons, whatever you call those there for the robin. And I'm not coloring them real heavy, just a little bit of color on them. And the final thing is for their beaks. I'm just going to use this orange color and add just a hint of darker color on there to do that. Now, while I have the black out, I am going to add just a little bit of darker color to their eyes, because when I go over that with my coloring, it kind of took away from his eyeball, and I noticed in my original that I forgot to do that, and I should have. So, all right, I think we're looking pretty good there. So, I'll get my inks out of the way here, and we will, whoops, I almost forgot. I forgot the Paradise Teal. We are going to come back with some Paradise Teal in a moment, so I'll leave that setting out right there. But we'll do that after we do some die cutting. All right. So I'm just going to cut those apart real quick. When I do videos for Heartfelt Creation, of course, I'm live and I'm able to interact and see your messages and the talking. And eventually, I hope to get my personal site set up to do that as well. Right now, I'm kind of doing my videos in advance and then launching them on certain days. But I look forward to the time when I can interact with you live again. I like getting your feedback and just your points of view on things and hearing where you're from, how things are going. All right, so I have my dies right here. And we are going to have to cut out just these three right here. All right. So when I prepare my videos for Heartfelt, I end up making 4 of every single card, just in all the pieces that I have to cut so that the videos last the appropriate amount of time. But now that Heartfelt has announced their closing at the end of the year, I like feel protective of my papers. Like I don't want to use 4 sheets of it or 2. I'm wondering if any of you are having that feeling too. Like, oh, I need to conserve this as much as I can, especially like the flower shaping paper and stuff. Have you been buying up the flower shaping paper and the different paper pads so that you can have projects to work with? I know I have felt that too, so I wonder if some of you are feeling like me on that. But I don't want to hoard it and not use it. I definitely want to use it. And in time, I will find other paper pads that I will use my products with for sure. Because there are lots of beautiful papers out there, but none are my favorites quite like Heartfelt. But all right, just going to send that through my machine real quick. And while that's going, I have already die cut my window pieces, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do here for the window. So here's pieces. Okay, now for our window, I've got this because I'm going to use my craft knife here, and right here at the top, just along the center of the window, I'm going to cut myself an opening. I'm not really going all the way. I'm just cutting myself an opening there. You see that? Now I'm going to come in with my little scissors and I'm going to finish that off. I'm going to finish cutting that open. Now you could go ahead and do that with the craft knife. I just don't want to slip and hurt myself. So I'm not real good with the craft knife, so I don't like to use it all the way. I use box cutters a lot in my day job, and you know, I've slipped before, so I'm just overcautious. But you can kind of see where I'm cutting, just right there along the bottom, so that we can get these shutters to come open. Now I'm going to come around to this other side again. Now for this, I'm just going to cut around the bend, around down to that first hinge. Okay, so hopefully you can see where I'm cutting there, around to that first hinge. And again, I'm just cutting right there along the bottom over to the hinge. And now, same thing on this side. All right. So now we have our shutters, so they will open. Now I'm going to come in with just a little bit of this Paradise Teal. And again, I'm going to tap off a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of brush the edges of my window in just random places, mostly like along the edges, and oops, flicked it right out of my hands, and give that a kind of an aged look. I think the white window with the gray and the paradise teal just creates a really fun look. And I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just really lightly kind of maybe where the hinges are and just around, giving that kind of some age discoloration. And I don't know if you can see it. You can see how it blends in? Okay, now when I stamped this piece, let's see, can you see it? Can you see how it's different than the piece above it? I stamped it in the watering can gray first. Then I just randomly tapped my paradise teal over the stamp and stamped it again so that the paradise teal went over the top of the gray to get that kind of antique look. And now I'm just going to go around the edges and flick the edges here. And on this piece, we're going to put some foam. Okay. All right, so that's all we need to do to prepare our window. All right, now we do want to get our scoreboard out again. Save all my pieces over here. And we're going to line up right there along the hinges with one of the score lines and go ahead and score just right down. I hope my head's not in there. Score right down there. And you're going to do that on both sides. And if you kind of rub it, you can kind of tell when you get on a score mark. Just score that right up. And this just makes it so it's a lot easier to fold your windows back. We're going to go ahead and fold those back along the score line we made. And I don't really crease them to be all the way opened. I just want them to be a little opened, not like that. Okay? All right. Now for this one, I am going to go ahead and add some foam on the back. So have you ever made the table tent design? I would love it if you let me know there in the comments if this is something you've done before or if it is a new idea for you. Now I put there in my blog, I put which products are already sold out and which ones are still available. If for some reason you don't have the ornate window, there's other windows that you can certainly use. Like I said, you can even use some of the frame dies and create your own window look. So don't feel like you're thwarted if you don't have some of these pieces. You know, look through your stash and find other products that will work in a similar way and give it a go. And who knows, you may end up just loving that look even better than what I did. So, you know, whoops, I got blue all over my finger. There's so many beautiful stamps and dies in the Heartfelt collection that if you find one that'll kind of give you a similar look, you go for it. And if you end up doing that, I would love it if you posted a picture, because I love seeing how people can take, you know, my idea or my thing and they put their own spin on it, use the things they have in their stash, and I just love seeing what you come up with. All right, there we go. We've got all of our pieces. So before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and grab my shaping mat here, and we're just going to add a little bit of shape to our birds and our flowers. And I'm just going to use a nice large tip there and add a little bit of shape on the back side of each one. It's not going to show up tons, so go. And same with this one. Then after that, I come around and put a little pressure on there. And the same with this piece. Just adding a little bit of shape. All right. Come back around, pressing on strategic places in the front can kind of further give that some shape. Okay, not a lot, just sometimes holding it like this can kind of just see how much curve is in there. Just give it some dimension. All right. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, go ahead and our pieces here that we've created, go ahead and we can pile those up. We'll use those in just a moment. I forgot to tell you, this little die right here, I did go to one of the paper pads and I die cut a little tag, and I went ahead and I stamped my sentiment in this little tag, and I stamped it in the vibrant fuchsia. But of course, you can do just whatever kind of sentiment that you would like. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is this piece right here. And we're going to fold this. So we've got the front, we're going to fold it this way. Better do it this way. So lay it down this way, and at the 2-inch, you're going to fold it back and crease it. And then the 1-inch, we're going to fold it back towards us this way. Okay, so when it's done, you've got your front of your card and like a mountain. Does that make sense? So there's the front of your card, and that's how we folded that back there. Okay, now you're going to lay it down. I got to make sure, I got to think this through right. Now, this card right here, we're going to go ahead and crease both of these. And this one I like to go ahead and make go both ways. And same with this one. We're going to close that down. Burnish those real well. All right. It doesn't really matter which ways these fold. They just need to be burnished on both sides. Now, when we're done, what we want it to do is close up like this. All right. So let's take this piece and we're going to lay it face down right here with this like this. Then this piece with the folds going up like this, we're going to lay it right here. So what we want to do, take your glue or your score tape, and on this section right here is where you're going to put your glue. Not on the whole 2 inches, just on the first 1-inch score mark. All right. And then this 1-inch score mark on this side, you're going to meet that up. And don't go over the score mark. You want to keep that on that side of the score mark. Okay? So now, while you've got it long like this, this is face down. This section right here, that's where we're going to take our piece like this and put it right in here. Now, this is made exactly 5 by 7. Because the score marks take up just a little bit of room, we're going to have to trim off just a tad. Not a lot. You can do it with your scissors even, because we're not going to see this. But I'm taking it off the end here, and it's literally like less than 1/18 of an inch. Like about this much. I mean, just a hair. Like I said, you can take your scissors and whack it off if you'd like. And now we're going to glue it so that the stream, the top is here, the bottom is here. Okay, so the bottom is where your tint at the bottom, yeah, like this. I don't know what that's called, but your connection point there is at the bottom. You know, you don't want to glue your scene in there upside down. Okay, now we're just gonna, again, just put it right up to the seam, but not over, and if you've trimmed enough off, that should fit in there just fine. All right, so there's the beginning of our table tent. Now, we're not going to close it up yet because we have some more to do, but go ahead and fold this down, burnish it really well. When we get ready to close it, we'll use that right there, but for now, we're going to go ahead and flip this way, and really you can even open it up totally, but we're going to do what we need to do here on the front. So here is my window. And I am going to add some more foam to just around the body of this window. You want to make sure not to accidentally put your foam on your shutters, because you want your shutters to be able to open. Just running that right around there. Hopefully you can see me. Am I keeping it in the camera for you? Cut off just a little piece right here for this section. And I'm also going to add a little piece up here in this little point at the top, because we want that to stay up. Okay, so we can go ahead and remove our paper and attach our window to our card. I don't know if I have told a lot of you before, but I am a grandma. I have 2 little granddaughters, and yesterday I got to go down and spend the day with my granddaughters. It was just a wonderful day. They are, we're going to just line that up. Now you may not get a second chance, so really, yeah, did a good job. Okay, got that on there. You want to kind of feel, make sure your tape is not, your foam tape is not over the edges, because you don't want to glue your window shut. But look at that. There we go. Okay, the next thing we're going to add, there's lots of popping up on this card. I'm going to take some foam tape, and I'm actually going to double it up. So I've cut this piece of foam tape in half. Whatever foam tape you have is totally fine. Just going to put it right inside here, and then I'm going to double it up so that it's double thick. And I'm going to put this, I'm going to open my blind, and I'm going to move my flowers up so that they're coming up over the bottom like that. Okay, so we've got that dimension created there, and that kind of helps hold our shutters open a bit too. Now, this next part might seem tricky, but it's really not. Okay, on our little robin right here, the way we're going to attach him, I want you to take some of your foam, and we're going to add foam on this flower, on the front side, and on this leaf. And then on this side, we're going to add it to this little piece sticking out. Little piece right there. And then this other leaf. All right. And the way I like to do this, we're going to take the papers off. Oops. All right, once you get the papers off, we're going to add a little bit of glue to the top of each piece. And that gives us just a little bit of wiggle room. Okay. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to hold him right up here in my window, and I'm going to attach him to the inside of my window. I don't want him to be too high up. Okay? You see that? So that he is attached to the front part of our window. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, see, we have our little bird in there, and he's got some dimension there, okay? The next thing we're going to do is take this little bird, and we're going to add him in. But he's going to be attached to the back side of our card. So I'm actually going to cut the flowers very gently off of him, and I'm going to add some foam to this fella. Lots of foam in this card. There we go. And for him, I want it to be like these 2 little birds are talking to each other. So it's not glued down yet, but I'm going to pop him in right, sorry, my head in there. I need to be able to see that. Okay, we're going to pop him in right about in there. Can you see him? Yeah, I think so. All right, we're just going to put him there, and we'll move him if we need to. Okay, so in my final design, oh, they're a little too close. I think my birds look like they're kissing in this one. Hold on, let me move him just a little bit. And it might tear my paper, but it's going to be underneath, so that'll be okay. Okay, I think maybe let me do it this way. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, so you kind of get the gist. I still think they look like they're kissing, but that's okay. In my other one, I think I glued him down just a little bit, so there was a little more room in there. But either way, you understand. You're building your scene, and when you build your scene, the thing you want in the front of your scene is going to be attached up here. And then the pieces that are going to fill in the background, you can pop them up or you can glue them down straight to give you dimension in the background. Okay, so that's what I'm showing you here. Now these extra flowers, I'm actually going to go ahead and put kind of over here on this side so that it gives some of that pink flower over there in the background so that it picks up the flowers from my bird in the foreground. Okay, so hopefully that is, you guys, I totally forgot a very important piece. Look, I forgot to add my frame on. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was supposed to be done first before the window. So if you're crafting along with me, I'm sorry. This is going to make it a little more difficult, but I'm going to slide it in there. And hopefully, good. Okay, I can slide it in there because of my foam tape up here. Boy, I'm so sorry. Okay. All right, now that I've got it in here, I'm just going to come along and add some glue down underneath it to keep it to stay in place. This should have been glued on first before the window, and it was laying underneath something and I completely forgot. But any of you that have been watching me for some time, you know my motto, there are no mistakes in crafting, because crafting is for the fun of it. So there's always a solution. And mine might be a tad crooked here, but if you do this yourself, you put the frame on first. Okay, now at this point, this piece that we made, we're going to go ahead and attach that to the top of our window. There we go. That was a good save. I'm glad I looked back there and saw my frame. And if it hadn't fit on there, you know what? It'd still be beautiful even without the frame. So there we go. I'm just going to layer this piece up on top to give our window a little more dimension. And because this is doubled up, this gives you just a little more lift and kind of makes it at the same level as the flowers. Now for my sentiment, I tucked it right in here. And I did pop it up just a little bit. I got quite the pile of little papers over here, and I'm tucking it between my two layers of this little cornice piece at the top. I'm just tucking it right in there between and kind of having it coming out at an angle. And the very final step here for our table tent card is to add our glue to this section. And now we're just going to take our lid and pop it right up there. Straightened up nice, add some pressure, and that's how we finish it off. So the important things to note, you don't want to glue your top until you get finished kind of decorating your inside. That gives you a little more flexibility to be able to move it around and shift it. And there you go. Now I did come back with my sponge and some glue, and I added glitter to my flowers down here. I added glitter around my frame, and I also opened it up and added a little bit of glitter on the flowers and my little birds on the inside. All right, so there we go. There's a table tent, robins at your window, recovery card, but of course this would be fun for anybody. It'll set up nice for somebody to be able to enjoy it. And another kind of bonus is it's going to fold up flat and slide right in an envelope and travel just fine through the mail. So it's always fun to have designs that are mailable. And let's go ahead and switch our camera back. All right, there we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed crafting with me today and making this table tent card. Thank you so much for joining me, and do hit that like button. I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel so that we can continue to craft together for a long time to come. And any comments, it helps with all those algorithms and all that kind of stuff on the computer. The more comments you leave and thumbs up and likes and all that kind of stuff. So it definitely helps me, and I appreciate it so much. And I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.